Friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another demo and do colour along. Today we are working in Leila Duly's Floribunda Year, a flower colouring companion, and we are working on the August nameplate page. And we're going to be using Polychromos pencils today. I'm in the mood for a bit of layering action, so I thought that might be fun to do. So in today's demo and do colour along, we're going to try and keep it to a up to 1 hour format-ish, roughly. We'll see how we go. Considering that we're going to be layering our pencils, we might be a little bit longer. So this means that I'm going to walk you through the main elements and techniques in detail, explain my colour choices, and share tips along the way. I'll show you most sections in real time, but for the bigger and more repetitive areas, I'll pop in some time lapse with music so we can keep it moving without losing the detail that you need. This is perfect for colouring along or just picking up ideas for your own pages. So for example, a lot of the leaves are quite repetitive. So once I demonstrate to you how to do a couple, then we can actually go ahead and just watch them all being done, sped up, and then you can pause the video, colour them in, catch up, and then we can move on to our next sections. And just as a hot tip, my demo and do colour alongs do vary in length. I put a poll up a couple of months ago about what is the ideal length of these videos for you guys, and most people voted for the up to 1 hour format. So we're going to give that a go today. Now let's look at our color combinations. Again, we're working with Polychromos pencils. So these are our color options today. So I'm starting with 4. We might add a few in here and there, and I'm also wondering about doing a little bit of a pencil background just in the middle around the text. We'll see how we go. So our first leaf combination, we have black, chrome oxide green, juniper green, permanent green olive, and earth green yellowish. Leaf number 2, pine green, permanent green olive, earth green yellowish, may green, and ivory. For the honeysuckle flower, madder, pink carmine, salmon and ivory. And for the common mallow, manganese violet, crimson, middle purple pink, light magenta, and I might throw in a white or an ivory. So with the leaf colors, because we are working with 2 different varieties, I did want to have different leaf colors and different combinations, but I do want a smattering of continuity. So we can see we've got permanent green olive is in both. Earth green yellowish is also in both. And we've got ivory with one of the leaf combinations and in the honeysuckle as well. And I might even just add a darker color on the top of either of these flowers. We'll see how we're going. Because we're layering, we can really do that. And what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna leave the color combinations on the side here, and I'm actually gonna just do my best to point like so to what I'm using. I saw this idea done. I was watching an art tutorial and she did it this way. So I think that might be a fun way that we could play around with it. Okay, so with any coloring page, I tend to just start off with the thing that looks the most fun. And to me, that is the common mallow, which are these flowers here that have the stamen that are poking out. The honeysuckle are the ones with the funny duvalakis going everywhere, which look very cute. All right, so my first color is the manganese violet. And I'm actually going to start in the center and work my way outward because a lot of the common mallow plants have these beautiful like stripe kind of effects, like it's been illustrated here, I suppose, as well. And the darker portions are in the centers and the lighter are on the outwards towards the edge. So I'm just going to start with and again, just find where those lines are. Start with this one. So this is the manganese violet. Just going to start by layering just a light layer. So because we're working with polychromos, let's layer them. And we can build up some lovely color as we go. So I'm just starting in the middle, working my way out. Now on the common mallow flowers, the bulk of the color is in the first half. So I'm just going to keep that in mind. So I'm going in with a fairly light pressure. And I'm just going to build up the colours until I'm happy with it. And most likely, now where does that end? There. Most likely just cycle through them. Until I get a pigmentation that I'm happy with. And I might actually bring up. Now your preference might be to layer light to dark. I like to do it this way with flowers. I like to go dark to light with flowers. That's just my preference. So feel free to start with the light magenta or a white or an ivory. And I'm just going to bring, starting to build some of these, you could call them veins. Now that's a gap right here. There's no leaf there. So there's another petal which ends there. So I'm going to try and avoid that gap, not colour in it. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to see. Just going to, yeah, build up these veins with a little bit of colour because they are there. Just going to do another layer or two down the bottom here. So because we're not doing, so with Prismacolor, you would generally do like one layer of blending and burnishing, but with the polys, we're going to build it up. So we're taking the longer route, but we'll get a nice result as well. Let's move on to our crimson. So crimson, and we're just going to go over the same areas with a light pressure. I'm actually just going to start flicking out a bit of colour just to mimic the detail. Now, not every layer I would do this for, but for this colour, yes. So just nice and light. And I'm actually wondering if maybe we're going to go, because the paper's already ivory, maybe we'll go white, see how that looks, and then we can adjust for our last colour. We could even add in a bit of cool grey for some shadows if we need to. That's always an option. So just flick it outwards like so. At any time in the video, if you need to pause and catch up, please do so. Sometimes it can be, it's a little bit easier for me to go quicker because I know what I want to do and I'm just going for it. But if you're following along, sometimes you will need to go a bit slower. So by all means, just pause. Or if I'm going too slow for you and you're on your iPhone, just hold the right hand half of your screen and you can speed it up. If you just press it, it'll take it at ×2. Okay, so lovely details. Try not to flick it over. This this picture's interesting because we've got a lot of overlappy bits and it takes a while for the eye to focus on what is where, but that is okay. We will be confused and be proud of it. Okay, so that's the crimson. Let's move on to that middle purple pink, shall we? And I'm actually bringing this out even further. Flicking it out even further. I'm going to join up the pencil with some of these veiny bits that I've already done with the darkest colour. And the good thing about this technique with the polychromos is because they stay nice and sharp, you don't have to sharpen it as much at all. And I think I'm going to add the middle purple pink as well, just on the base of the stamen here, like so. See how I'm just going to the right hand side? And I'm just going to colour in, same thing, just the right hand side. Leave a bit for some highlights. On their stamens as well, they've also got this like smattering of white pollen, so we might go in with a white gel pen at the end and add a little bit of detail in. Okay, let's go to our light magenta and same thing. Just keep bringing it up. See how I've gotten further with every colour? Now I'm just going the other way because that petal there is curved over and I don't want to like flicker over it. Okay, and let's take some of the light magenta just over this as well. The middle part, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. Just a tiny bit of a gap. See how I've still got white there and I've still got white here. And I might leave these bits for a white gel pen. Okay, so let's go back to our manganese violet now. And I'm just going to focus on the center. And I'm just going to deepen up that color a little bit. I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm just going to add more because why not? And this middle bit here too. Flick that up a little bit. You really just want to darken it up enough until you're happy with it. All right, I want a little bit more down here. And also bring in some grey, some really dark grey as well. I'll make that decision in a minute. Okay, so I have decided to add in a bit of cold grey 1, and I'm going to be doing this before the white, and I'm going to be applying it on the shadow areas. So not the highlights. And I'm just going to do a light layer. So the areas that are tucked around, tucked under, that are technically further away in distance, that would have a bit of a shadow, that might be behind things, that's where you would generally make it darker / not your highlighted areas, if that makes sense. So under there, under there, down here. Around there. It's a small difference. Yes, it's really subtle, but I believe that it makes all the difference, really. You might like the look of cold grey opposed to white. It is preference as well, so feel free to just add the cold grey and not the white if that's what you are vibing. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going in with my white. And I'm just going to apply the colour over the top. What we could always do at the very end, depending on how we're looking, we can actually further accentuate how white this is by going around the outline in a white gel pen. We'll see how detailed everything's looking. Sometimes you need to be a little bit strategic with that, because if you add too much, you can just get it just looks a bit globby, and it just looks a bit gunky. So I want to see how we're looking. I'm not seeing too much of this white actually coming through, but that's all right. It's there. I'm seeing a slight difference. It's actually just dulling down the ivory of the paper. And I can absolutely guarantee you that the camera won't pick it up. But yeah, we will do gel pen work at the very end once everything's coloured. Okay, so that is the first of our common mallow flowers. So now will be the point where we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to complete the rest in a time lapse. Feel free to watch all of that to the end and then colour your flowers, and then we'll catch up. However, you might just feel like you've got the gist and you want to go ahead. They are relatively simple. There wasn't too much in terms of complex shading going on. It's more about getting the layers to where you want. Again, these are the colour combinations and I'm working in that order as well. So let's go ahead and I will catch you up on the next flower. Okay, how'd you go? So those are our common mallows finished. I mean, I think they're all done. I've been scanning the page to make sure I've got them all, and I'm pretty sure I do. Anyhow, we're going to move on to the honeysuckles now, and I thought we'd start with the bottom. It looks like a nice and easy portion to go through. So moving on to the next colour combination, which on the right-hand side here is the madder, pink carmine, salmon and ivory. I might add more colours than just the 4. We'll see how we go. I do want to layer them up first, and then I might even add in some darker reds or a brown to the darkest points. We'll see. So rather than do like fine line technique, we're gonna go for more of a blended gradient with the colors. Similarly to how I've done it here. So I've just done layers to blend that in. We're just gonna try and follow that effect over on these petals. So this applies to, like, they're all sticking out in random bits. And then over on the far left as well, there's some that come out of it that look more, not Snapdragon-ish, but just different. So it's pretty much just all the rest of the flower elements. There are some bushy ones like down the bottom here, but I'm wondering if I'm gonna leave those for glitter. We'll see. I'm not gonna make that decision just yet. So I am gonna layer from dark to light. Again, it's just how I like to start outlining and build structure and build and map out everything, so to speak. This is easiest for me. So starting with the madder, and I'm just going to start at the end here. And I'm just going to start building up the color. So again, I'm using light layers. So I'm not pressing hard and blending and burnishing. Just going to get some light layers going. And I'm going to try and mirror that over on the right as much as I can. And you can really start to carve out some shape if you want. Start to carve out some shadows. See, I've got like a shadow going at the bottom there. So we can start to carve that out. Just build it up. Buttercup. And we could always bring in some darker colors underneath here if we want to. I just want to see what this looks like. I'm probably going to do an entire flower, kind of like I did with the common mallow. I'm going to do like, yeah, an entire flower before I make that decision that I want to start bringing in darker colors. If you've watched a few of my videos, you know that I always bang on about how it's easier to add than it is to take away. And it is very true. All right, so that's that madder. Let's add the pink carmine, whichever it is. Again, I'm not pressing hard. I'm just going to layer it until I get the right color that I want. And you can start to build up some shape. See how I've got that line there? So that lighter piece, I'm going to leave that in there because that's kind of gives it like it's deeper there and it's closer to us up here. So I want to keep that there. And it's really just about, so like I wouldn't do that for every individual portion, but it's more just about doing it per leaf strand or per petal, I suppose, and figuring out what works. And really just letting each petal be individual, even though we're using the same colors. Oh, the polys just work great on this paper. Fan-bloomin-tastic. the colours aren't competing for space, they're just adding in ever so delicately. It's nice. Okay, moving on to the salmon. So see how I'm just getting closer to the middle? As I go with each colour, and just lightly does it, because I want to blend the ivory. I want to blend with the salmon. I kind of don't. And you can see over here on the right too how the ivory, there's not really much of it on its own. It's mainly a blender with the salmon, so that's how I want to approach it here too. Okay, now for the ivory. And I'm really just doing, you could go around with every single petal and apply the one colour and then move on to the next colour, or you could just do what have been doing here and just do one petal at a time. Sometimes, even though it is a slower way, sometimes it's nicer to do it that way because you can adjust as you go. It's a bit more meditative that way. Like, I know we're swapping pencils all the time. I'm just going to go back to that salmon. I know it's swapping pencils all the time, but sometimes you need to do that. Is that a bit more salmon up there? Yes, that's overall the look I'm going for. So going for that nice transition between the madder and the ivory, that nice gradient, and generally going in that direction. You can see I've gone on a bit of a slant here, so the ivory is just up like that. But it doesn't always have to be this straight, clear-cut gradient. Just work with the contour of the petal and see where it takes you, because they're all different. So back to the madder. And I'll do a few more petals as an example, and then because I'm just going to be doing the same thing, we'll just go off like we did with those first flowers and complete it. And again, feel free to watch the time lapse as it all unfolds so you kind of gauge how the bigger picture looks. And then pause the video, catch up, or you might just have a good idea of what you're doing and you can just jump in now and start. Sometimes if there's elements that you're super comfortable with, or if you have elements that you really like to colour a certain way and you're really just here for the combinations or just for the ideas, you might just want to jump ahead now, which is totally cool. So see how with this one, so rather than, so under there I kind of started there and then outwards like that. See how I'm curving it around this time? So that's what I mean by every petal's kind of different because it's its own entity. And I think I would have said that a fair bit as well in other videos. So apologies if I do repeat myself, but there are lots of people who, if you're watching this for the first time, that might be helpful. So again, different to Prismacolors, I'm not pressing really hard and then lightening up. I'm doing lots of different layers. I'm really not changing. I'm really only pressing like the tiniest little bit harder when it's mostly burnished, but again, it's really not much. But this paper is, again, just handles the polys really well. So you don't need to press all that hard to get a lovely pigmentation. Okay, pink carmine. Carmine, carmine. Tomato, tomato. Potato, potato. Says no one ever. And if you're having trouble with your pressure, if you just put your hand up further back up the barrel, and it'll stop you from pressing hard. But you might be using other pencils. You might not be using polys. This is my first time using polys in this book, and I must say, loving it. I knew it was going to be a risk because I'd never done it, but this book's a full book colour along, so I'm like, yeah, well, it's going to happen. There are practice pages in the back, I know, but I didn't do it. I was like, you know what, we're just going to go for it. Right, nice and light. Yeah, I really like these polys, they're so great. Take a while to get used to. So yes, it is possible to do some nice blends with polys. That was done the same way that I'm doing this. It just takes longer. And a lot of people do go light to dark as well. And in a lot of cases I do that. In a lot of cases I do go light to dark. It's just with this, I'm not, because I like to map out the darker areas first. And that's just the way my cookie crumbles. Lightly does it. So I'm just moving through those 4 colours. And the good thing about it, because we're layering, is you can actually just go on and add more. So if you wanted to go back and add some of the darker colour than madder, then you can. Just go back on and add it where you want to. You might actually like to invert, like you might like to do the darker colours in the centre if you want. I'm just doing it this way because that's just the way that I've seen them done. It's a variety of honeysuckle that I've seen and I really like it, so I'm rolling with it. And I'm literally just going to apply this same thing to every single other petal that's on here. So it's no different. So I know that it might look like we're using a lot of different techniques, but kind of not. So I'm hoping if that makes you feel better, then good. And hopefully I can show you that you don't need to use a million techniques on the one colouring page. You really don't. Okay, ivory, again, super light. I'm not using the ivory like to smush in either like I would a Prismacolor cream. I'm really just adding the colour over the top. I'm not pressing hard at all. I'm really not. Just going over the top. And the gradient is just so, I just love these pencils. The more I'm using them, the more I'm just like, home girl. All right, let me just show you, if we go back to madder, because we're going to be looking at, there's a lot of these like little curly bits in there. So we have, by way of example, all these frondy bits, that's the cluster of the flower. And then we've got this like other little flower coming off it that's in that cluster, and that's this petal here with this little curly bit. And we can see it over on the left here as well. There's the cluster. There's a curly bit. There's another flower coming off. And there's another flower coming off there. Same with the cluster up here. Another thing that you could do, if this whole page is too much, if you are looking at this book at the minute, look at the page on the right, on the left-hand side. It's one flower. That might be more doable to you. You might feel like you could just go in and do that one, opposed to doing this whole page. Or even maybe you want to try polys and you don't have any. Just go and buy these 4 and try the other page. You don't have to commit to a whole set if you want to try them. Now I want this to be darker. Why? I suppose because it's like a different part. It's coming out of this section. And I think if you do it darker, it just can make it just stands out a little bit. And we might leave those little stamens for glitter. Again, I don't know. I won't know until the end. Until I've done all the pencil work, and then I can be like, yep, I'll add glitter, or no, I won't because it'll be too much. You see why a sharp point really helps too, because you can just get in these really fine little spots. Okay. Gonna add the pink carmine to that. You know, I was thinking about how, you know how I said at the start, oh, we could add some darker colours. I really don't think with the honeysuckle we need to. Oh, that's the matter. Sorry, I mean the pink carmine. Did I just use the pink carmine? Oh no, I didn't. Anyway, I've just gone, holy matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Ha ha ha. Ba-dum. That's hilarious. Anyway, that was supposed to be a little gradient there. I'll fix it up in the next one. Oh. Okay. So that's enough of me talking. We're going to go ahead and do every single petal in the exact same way. And once we've done that, we'll meet back. We'll have a bit of a look. Feel free to pause the video, catch up, go get a cuppa, color it in your own time. Play around with different techniques, different styles that you like. You don't have to be glued to the screen the whole time. Really take this time to just enjoy this page for yourself, and I'll meet you back once all those are done. Okie dokie, so that is all the petals done. How'd you go? Now we're going to move on to the leaves. So we're going to work on, over on the right hand side here, we're going to work on this second green combination. And we're going to apply these to these leaves here that have the bigger spaces in them. We're going to leave the other leaves till next. Well, for next, I should say, because they're a bit more behind. So it's probably going to be easier to colour in these bigger ones. And I'm going to work on these down here. I was trying to pick which leaves I could use by way of demonstration. And there's a lot of them that are looking a bit kooky. So I think we're going to do these three because it's going to be the easiest to show you. So make sure you have your pine green, permanent green olive, earth green, yellowish, may green, and ivory at the ready. And just because we've got these 5 colours doesn't mean that we don't have to add in or can't add in any more, depending on how we're looking. So once I've got both leaf combinations done, if everything's looking too same, I might add in some other colours over the top and do some other layers. But I have a feeling that it won't be the case, but I've been proven wrong before. So again, we're just going to go back in and layer. And I'm starting with the darkest, which is the pan green. And I'm actually going to do one leaf side at a time. So I'm going to start from here, go from the right, work my way to the left. And then on this side, go from the right and work my way to the left. You'll see what I mean. And I'm still layering, so just starting in the middle. You don't need to apply too much in terms of like length because we're going to try and fit 5 colours in. The ivory is more going to be probably just the highlight, I would say. But again, we're just layering our colours until we get that pigment. That we want. Like so. So I'm just using the same technique like I did with those petals previously. Nice and sharp. And I'm just going to keep building that up. Just making my way to the edge. I am contouring, but I'm not going crazy with it. And just like with the petals, I'm just letting it take me where it takes me because every like side of the leaf is different. I'm pretty happy with that at the minute. I can always come back to it. And now I'm going to start from this side. You can shade your leaves any direction that you like. You could start from the outside and work your way in on both sides, which is probably what I'm going to do for the second leaf color combination, just because of the shape of the leaves. I really just let the shape of the leaf determine what direction. But generally, I'm planning on all of this type of leaf to be like this. And you can always bring in some darker greens, or actually, again, you could bring in some greys. It's really up to you how dark you want your leaf edges to look. I'm just going to keep applying the layers until I'm happy with it. But sometimes you probably won't get an idea of how dark you want the leaf until you've done like a few layers, and you might be thinking, oh, I want it to look a bit darker, then just going over the top with more layers. Okay, moving on to the permanent green olive. Back to where I was. Bringing it outwards. Again, I'm not pressing hard, I'm just layering it. And it might look like I'm going back and forth with my strokes in a straight line, but I'm actually doing oval shapes, just like really squished ones. This just helps keep those layers nice and even, so there's no crazy looking overlaps. And we'll see how we go here for actually fitting in all these colours. It'll be different per leaf. So a smaller leaf you might have to squish in a little bit more, but with the bigger leaves on here, we will have a lot more room to play with. Okay, onto our earth green yellowish. Starting from the middle. Again, working my way outward. You might prefer to go in the opposite order here. You might prefer to do your leaves light to dark. And also too, we might want to leave this combination the way it is until every single leaf is done, including the other variety as well, because we might want to see how this looks against the other combination. We might want to just check that, you know, perhaps because that one's got darker colours, we might feel that that is dark enough, and we might feel that adding in darker shades around this leaf might be too much, or we might feel that it needs it. So sometimes I think it does pay just to have a loose plan and then make decisions as you go. Unless you're someone that has, you know, coloured things a million times and you're very well versed in everything and you know exactly how it's going to go. That's probably when you'd be able just to make those decisions. And in terms of the leaf spine or the center of it, it really depends what color you want to go with, and it depends on the variety too. So generally I'll go for a darker color in the middle, depending on the variety. Sometimes they're brown, sometimes they're green. I think in the photos that I was looking at, they're actually green, so I'm going to go with perhaps that pine green. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And then I'll also show you how I'm going to do the leaf stems as well. And again, if we feel like it's all just looking too same at the end, we can add colours over the top if we want to. But these bright, vibrant greens look really nice against the pink and the purple. They just match the vibrancy. You could always go for a muted green if that's what you prefer. There is absolutely nothing stopping you from doing that. Okay, this is the ivory, and I'm just filling in that tiny bit of a gap and just running it all over the top. You don't have to use ivory if you don't want. You might want to use white, or you can even use like a light brown, or you could just do like the light brown in little sections and then add the ivory in. It's really up to you. So many different ways you could do it. Okay, that's the ivory. I'm going to go back to the permanent green olive, and I'm just going to do that center. I could almost go darker, but I might leave that for now. Almost thinking I could, because with the leaf stems, I want to go back to pine green, and I'm just going to do a section and show you how it's done, and then we can go off and do it, because you'll get the gist. You'll get the gist once it's done. So I'm just starting off again from the bottom. So start from one side, and I'm just applying a light layer on half of it. Almost 2/3. I mean, look. Roughly just thereabouts. Just do it until you've got a decent amount covered, but you've also got a fair amount of white still showing, because that's what's going to be the highlight. And taper off the layering, but see how there's still like quite a defined line. It's not so murky. We're not going to blend it like we've blended those ones. We're going to separate the colours just a little bit more. So this is the darkest colour in the colour gradient. And this is just how I like to do sticks and twigs and things. And you know what? Now I'm looking at it, I think I might just add a layer of the pine green over that centre. Let's join them together. Again, you can always come back and fiddle with it. Okay, now I'm going to grab the May green. So I'm not going the ivory, because that's pretty close to white. I just want the lightest green that I have in the gradient. And I'm just going to do another layer over the top of that. Cover the whole thing. And it kind of acts like shadow and light. And I would do that for every section with the leaf stem. Just have that, what we did before. So we had the permanent green olive and the pine green just overlapping one another. So that's how we're going to do every single leaf of that kind. So there's little ones here, there as well. There's some tiny ones here, which look a little bit different. So you could almost leave those to the end because there's one of those there and there's one up the top there as well. They're a little bit different. So we've almost got 3 types of leaves with 2 different types of flowers. And then they're up here as well. So these are actually the stems of the honeysuckle when you see them, and they kind of sweep all around here. So with this, we're going to have our shade underneath. So on the what would be the right-hand side, and then the highlight on the left, which is the left hand, yeah, the left, which is the left-hand side. Good one. So I'm now going to go ahead and do all of those leaves the exact same way, and then we'll come back together, and if we need to do any touch-ups, we will, and then we'll move on to the leaf behind that, which is this stripy one here at the back, where we will bring in our darker colors. All right, we have completed the next stage. Feel free to pause the video and take a screenshot if you need to just double check that you've colored the areas that I've colored, because we do have a couple of little tiny bits and bobs here and there. And I do just want to point out something that I did do that I didn't explain. It's only a minor thing. So with my lightest color in the greens, the May green, which I used on the stalks. I've actually just brought them up to the base of the honeysuckle flower here, and I've brought it out just overlapping the ivory a little bit. I've done it for every honeysuckle flower that is obvious. I'm just having a look at it. Yeah, so up to you if you want to do that or not. And apologies if you can hear a bunch of wind everywhere. The wind just has picked up like crazy, so my trees are going bananas. Next, we are going to work on the leaves that are behind the main elements here. So these rounder, more stripy looking ones. And we are going to now move, over to the top combination. Okay, so the best way that I can probably demonstrate and explain is by some of these down here. They all are very hidden. So I am trying to pick leaves that are easier to see and you'll get the idea, and then we can just go ahead and do it. So I'm going to start with the black, and the black is really, it's not going to be such a solid color on its own. It's more going to be just to deepen everything up. So I'm just going to start by around the edges here, and we're going to go so like darker on both ends, opposed to here where we're going from dark to light that way. We're going to go that way, and it's going to be the same for every leaf. And just shading it around like that. We can always add more black in later if we feel we need to. We can always jump over the top with another color like a brown if we want as well. So I'm roughly going in like almost like a C shape. Because I'm just trying to accentuate a bit of these corners. And sometimes it will be a little bit hard to see because they do overlap. So just do your best to shape it where you can. Don't worry too much if it's not perfect. Sometimes I try and visualize how it would look if all the layers on the top weren't there. So this would just be a very big round leaf, wouldn't it? So trying to visualize that and just adjust accordingly. A bit down there too. We'll just do this section for now. And then I'm going to grab the next in the list is the Chrome Oxide Green. And just keep layering that until we get a nice blend with the black, or a nice transition between the colors with the layers. Trying to avoid any harsh lines. The same way that we've layered everything else. We're just putting everything in a different direction. Like so. Oh gosh, that wind. probably easier to see by way of demonstration, this little one down here, because it's nice and exposed. Okay, now let's go for that juniper green, and we're just going to work our way up the list. Like with the other leaves, every leaf will look a little bit different because it's drawn differently and you're going to shade differently accordingly to that. So don't worry too much if you feel like nothing's looking the same. It doesn't matter. It's not like that in real life anyway, is it? So like that. Layer up a bit more. Just keep layering your pencils until you get a nice vibrant colour. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the permanent green olive. Permanent green olive. And same thing. See, I'm just bringing it all into the center. You could totally shade it a different way if you want. And I'm just going back over what I've already done too, because I find that just layering all those delicious colors together, we get a really nice effect. Trying not to mind the twig. And I feel like for the stems, I want to utilize the darker greens. I probably won't utilize the black, probably won't use that. We'll use the chrome or the juniper. Maybe the juniper and an ivory. So just closing the gap up. Okay, our last color, which is the earth green yellowish. Just gonna cover that over just lightly. Go over those other areas, just layer it all together and blend. Let's look at a small section of the twig right here and we'll just see. Well, even if we go, let's go the chrome oxide green. Let's do that. And I'm just going to do it the same way. go permanent green. See what that looks like. Ooh, I could almost go lighter. Let's stick with that. Let's stick with that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is grab those same colours and we're going to do the rest of the leaves. So they're all behind here. These stripy ones, and they vary in shape. Some look a bit more rounded and others look a bit skinnier. So see up here, it's these ones, they're a bit skinnier. So we'll do those as well. They're behind here. It's pretty much the remainder of the leaves apart from these black ones here and apart from these viney looking ones up here and all around here too. And we will shade this massive stem here because there's quite a bit of a gap. I'm probably going to use all of the colours that are in this colour combination over on the right. So I'm probably going to use all of those. I reckon we can squish it in. So now let's go ahead and do that. Okay, that's all those leaves done. Now we're going to work on these ones. And then we are also going to do the stems for the black leaves too. So what we're going to do, I've decided that I'm going to do the same colour combination. We're just going to swap the black with walnut brown. So not going to include the black, walnut brown instead. And for these other leaves and their stems, we're going to do walnut brown and caput mortem. Is that how you say it? Caput mortem. It's like, it's gone kaput. It's an Australian saying. We'll be using those two colours, and so I'm going to give you an example of both of these elements now, and then we'll go off and do them. Okie dokie. So I'm going to start off with the walnut brown. So I'm actually just going to place just a little bit, just in sections. So I'm not going to do the whole lot, just a little bit. I might do a bit down here. A little bit here, say. And then, okay, so in the oxide green, I'm just going to go over the top and just layer with it. Just adds a bit of a smattering. And I'm starting with the darkest, working my way in, and I'm going to do it with this whole leaf section. So the middle's going to be here, there, sorry, the lightest part. is going to be in those centers. Like so. And we'll make the stems this chrome oxide green as well. A whole lot. Okay, so let's jump to our juniper green now. Same thing. Over we go, layer by layer. Certainly is a longer way to do it, but I think with polys you just get a better result. Oil-based pencils. Okay, going over now with our permanent green olive. Now we don't have to add the earth green, yellowish at the end. Could add ivory, or you could just leave it and let the tone of the paper just do the rest, which I might do on this occasion. I was looking at it before when we were colouring the other elements and I was like, yeah, you know what? We could just leave a bit of a glow, couldn't we? Let's do that. Bit of a glow. So that's how we're going to approach every single leaf frond. Little frond, I suppose, leaf bit. So we'll do that one. There's one down there, and there's one at the bottom corner as well. There is this here too, this little bud, which has very, like the leaf of it, you could argue is that leaf or it's that leaf. I might just make it, I mean, it doesn't matter because we're using roughly the same colors. And I might actually just go through with a white gel pen and color that in, but we'll do that at the end. Now, let me just show you the black leaves, how we're gonna do those. So really easy. Gonna grab our friend Walnut Brown. And just do one side like we were doing with the other ones. And just kind of build it up until you get that kind of color that you want. Then go in with the caput mortem. I am butchering that So we want this nice reddy brown. And in terms of the leaf stem itself, I'm just going to layer a bit of both. Bit of the brown there, the other one there. And so we're just going to do those two steps the whole way around. Alrighty gang, so that is our pencil work done. I was going to do a background. However, I really like the way it's looking against the ivory, so I'm going to leave it against the ivory paper. Now we're going to do the whole gel pen section. Now would be the time to fix up any pencil work if you need to. Again, if you need to screenshot anything and just check that you filled in all the bits, blah, blah, blah. Let's go through today's colors in the gel pen. I won't have these listed on the side, but we'll just go through them. So I've got Jelly Roll 551 in gold. So it's a metallic gold, but just grab whatever metallic gold you have. I also have a Jelly Roll in white. This is number 50, but again, any white will do. Just grab your favorite one. Jelly Roll 403P. So this is like a really pastel-y yellow lemon color. And then finally in the Pentel Dual Metallic, I have gold. So what we will be doing, the metallic gold will be for this little bud down here. And there's one up there too. And the rest are going to be, we're going to be doing some highlights, some polleny bits. So I am going to be picking up and putting down my pens because I do need to work right to left. Otherwise I do smudge it. I do have to work in a certain direction. Oh dear. So what we're going to do with our Jelly Roll white, or any white pen that you have, is we're going to do these in the middle of the little stamen things here. And we're just going to colour those over. I'm never too neat with this, so I always just give it a good crack. I'm going to try and cover up those black lines. We could always use a Toooli Art paint pen, which I'm going to switch to. Okay, I've switched to a Toooli Art paint pen, but if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Just use whatever white implement you have available. Just going to go over what I did. It was just a bit too fine. Sometimes you don't know until you actually dive in. Some down there too. There's a fair amount here, so what I might do, I'll just give you an example of how I'm going to do every element and then we'll just go ahead and do it. Okay, then I'm going to grab the glittery gold and do the bobbly bits on the end. And then I'm going to grab the that pastel lemon yellow colour, and I'm just going to dot some around. It's like pollen. Sorry, my nose is in the camera. I keep seeing it. It's going to dot some around like pollen. And then the other pen that I haven't shown you is down here. So that is the Jelly Roll 551, which was my favourite gel pen in the world. And we're just going to go around like so. I'm going to keep within the black lines for this one. I want to keep that definition there. Like so. You might like to use, instead of gold, you might like to use silver, you might like to use pink, any colour you like. These are really just accents and embellishments, and it is really up to you how you interpret that. Now I'm going to go back to that jelly roll, and right next to it, I'm going to work on these little things here. In the Mallows. And we can do some dots on it too. Like so. You could go around and outline the common Mallow, however I won't. I just like the look of the line work, so I'm going to leave it there. I think it just adds to it. So let's go ahead and complete that last part of the page. There we go, guys, our completed page in Leila Duly's Floribunda Year. I hope you enjoyed the format, and I hope you enjoyed following along as much as I did filming and hanging out with you all. Keep your eyes peeled for more fun videos, and you never know, your next favorite video might just be coming up next on the screen right now. I'll catch you later, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.